They said the monastery was built on sacred ground, but anyone who stepped near it felt the truth. The soil reeked of rot, and the air itself carried the taste of old blood. The villagers had abandoned it generations ago. They claimed that at night, you could hear the prayers of the damned echoing inside, prayers that never reached heaven. But something had awakened there again. 2 nuns, bound by oath and desperation, made the journey. Sister Elara and Sister Muriel stood before the ancient gates, their faces pale in the sickly moonlight. The monastery's door was a massive slab of wood blackened with age, carved with screaming faces whose mouths stretched open wider than any human should. It looked as though the wood itself was alive, pulsing faintly, as if veins ran through it. Elara's hands trembled around her rosary. "We have no choice. If we don't end this tonight, everyone dies." Muriel said nothing. Her eyes were already wet with tears. She pressed her hand against the monstrous door. It was warm, like flesh. When it groaned open, the air that poured out smelled of grave dirt and spoiled meat. Inside, the monastery was worse than they had imagined. Candles burned though no flame touched them. The walls seemed to bleed, black rivulets oozing from cracks. Somewhere deep within, a bell tolled, but it was a broken sound, as though rung from inside a coffin. And waiting for them was her, the nun of the abyss, Veyra. Her body was draped in a shredded habit, her face covered by a veil. The veil twitched, and underneath, something writhed, as though dozens of faces were pressing against her skin, trying to escape. When she stepped forward, her feet left bloody prints on the stone. Elara whispered a prayer. Muriel screamed. Veyra raised a clawed hand, and the walls of the monastery shook. The crucifix above the altar bent backward until the wood snapped. The eyes of Christ rolled down his face like tears of milk. The sight shattered Muriel's mind. She tore her own rosary from her neck and wrapped it around her throat. With one violent jerk, she hanged herself from a cracked beam, her legs twitching like a puppet as her head twisted at an impossible angle. Her final gurgling cry was drowned out by the sound of Veyra laughing. The next morning, word of their deaths reached Father Corwin, a priest who had faced horrors before, but none like this. He knew the monastery well. He had dreamed of its gates since childhood. He did not go alone. At his side walked Sister Seraphine, a cursed nun marked by visions. Since she was a child, she had seen things no one else could see, souls clawing at the edges of reality, shadows whispering her name, corpses opening their eyes to watch her pass. The church both feared and needed her. "Your visions may guide us," if Father Corwin told her as they entered the woods. "Or damn us." By nightfall, they stood before the monastery's gates. The doors opened on their own, groaning like a dying animal. Inside, the air was wet and thick, like breathing through blood. As they walked deeper, phantom monks glided past them, their faces sewn shut, their hands bound by rusted chains. They murmured backwards prayers, their tongues split down the middle. The sound gnawed at Seraphine's sanity. "Do not listen," Corwin warned, clutching his crucifix. But the monastery had already taken hold of her. They found her in the crypt. Sister Muriel. Her body still dangled from the beam, but her neck was twisted fully backward. Her eyes were open, weeping black tears, and when she saw them, she smiled. Her jaw unhinged, tearing wider and wider until her cheeks split open. A guttural scream erupted from her throat, shaking the stone walls. Veyra appeared behind her, gliding across the floor. Her veil fluttered, and for a heartbeat Seraphine saw what hid beneath, dozens of faces trapped inside her skin, their mouths opening in silent screams. Before Corwin could react, Veyra hurled him into a coffin. The lid slammed shut. Inside, he screamed as snakes spilled over his body, biting and tearing. Their scales scraped his skin raw. Seraphine could hear the wet sound of flesh ripping, bones crunching. His fists pounded on the coffin lid until the sound slowed and stopped. Seraphine staggered through the halls alone, her head filled with whispers. In the shadows, she found another nun. This one's eyes were hollow, her skin sagging as if it had rotted for years. A portal was opened here, the nun rasped. An exorcism gone wrong. Veyra came through. She will not stop until every prayer is silenced. Seraphine fell to her knees. How do I kill her? The nun's trembling hands held out a key made of bone. The blood of Christ. Locked in a relic. Only this key can free it. The nun dissolved into ash, and Seraphine realized with horror that she had been speaking to a ghost. The key burned in her hand. Guided by her visions, Seraphine followed the sound of chanting to a hidden chamber. There, on a black altar, lay the relic, an iron vessel bound in thorns. She reached for it, but Veyra's voice filled the chamber. You think you can stop me? The shadows peeled away, revealing her. The veil lifted fully. Her face was no face at all, just a mass of twisting skin, with mouths opening and closing, teeth grinding against each other, eyes rolling and bursting. Every voice screamed at once, a chorus of agony. She dragged Father Corwin's broken body behind her. His chest was torn open, ribs spread apart, his organs still twitching. With one final motion, she crushed his skull against the stone, splattering the altar with his blood. Seraphine screamed, seizing the relic. Veyra's claws wrapped around her throat, lifting her into the air. The demon's breath smelled of grave dirt and sulfur. In desperation, Seraphine forced the relic open. Inside was a vial of blood that pulsed with light. With a final prayer, she hurled it into Veyra's face. The blood of Christ exploded across the demon's flesh. Veyra shrieked, her skin melting, faces bursting from her body in sprays of black ichor. The ground shook violently. The walls split, bleeding rivers of shadow. Dozens of hands clawed from the stone, trying to drag Seraphine down. But Veyra burned. Her scream rattled the heavens and split the earth, until her body twisted inward and collapsed into ash. And then, silence. When dawn came, the villagers found the monastery abandoned. The relic lay shattered. Father Corwin's body was never recovered, and Sister Seraphine was gone. But some nights, when the moon hides and the air is still, the bells of the monastery toll again. And if you stand close enough, you can hear the whispers of a nun calling your name. Not to save you, to invite you inside.